Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
And we'll hear that creaking door again here in just a moment as we go back to February 12th, 1946. Screen star Richard Widmark starring in an episode entitled The Man Who Couldn't Die. This episode of Inner-Sanctum-Mysteries originally broadcast, as I said, February 12th, 1946.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Good evening, friends. This is your host of the Inner Sanctum inviting you in through the creaking door. Come on in and enter into the spirit of things. Don't pay any attention to those gurgling sounds you hear. They're the unfortunate ones. The midnight spirits who were caught haunting before midnight. Poor things. All they can do now is gurgle because they've evaporated into distilled spirits. It's an original radio play written especially for Inner Sanctum by Emil Tepperman and starring Richard Widmark in the role of Alex Gregory. It's about a man who became master of a secret so fearful that it could never be revealed to any mortal, living or dead. But let him tell you the story himself, how he learned the most terrible secret in all the universe and what he did with it.
It was an evening in September, the 15th to be exact, when I first learned of the existence of elixir number 4. It happened at Professor Jarman's house just off the college campus. You've heard of Jarman, of course. He was to chemistry what Einstein is to physics. But it was his daughter Elaine that I was interested in that evening in September when I rang their bell.
Oh, hello, Alex. Oh, gosh, is it that late? I'm not even dressed.
Hi, sweet. Snap it up, will you? The last show starts at 8:30.
Oh, it won't take me long. Wait for me in the library. I'll be ready in a jiffy.
I knew my way around the house. I went into the library, and the first thing I noticed was that the door to Professor Jarman's private study was ajar. It had never happened before. The private study and the laboratory beyond were forbidden territory in the Jarman home. Not even Elaine was allowed in there. And now the door was open. I'd heard stories of Jarman's experiments with new and secret formulae. So here was a chance. A possible chance to find out what the old codger was working on. I couldn't resist. I pushed open the door and I stepped into the private study. I could hear Jarman in the lab talking to himself. Elaine had told me once that he always talked to himself in the lab. I stood quietly in the study, but I couldn't make out what he was saying in there. I looked around. The study was just a small cubbyhole with a chair, a bookcase, and a desk. And on the desk, I saw the open diary. A single sentence was written on the open page. I stepped closer. And then I got the first shock. For that sentence was written in Latin. My Latin was rusty, but I was able to decipher the words, Vitae secretum in elixir quartum perpetus habeo. In elixir number 4, I have the secret of perpetus life. Perpetus. That was the one word I couldn't seem to place. In elixir number 4, I have the secret of something. life. I was puzzling over that word perpetus when suddenly the laboratory door was flung open.
What are you doing at my desk?
Oh, hello, Professor Jarman.
I asked you, what are you doing at my desk?
Well, the study door was open. I thought I'd see if you were in here.
You were reading my diary.
Oh, no, Professor.
You saw the entry in my diary.
Well, really, Professor, I assure you.
You read Latin.
Latin? Well, I don't understand.
You're sure you don't understand Latin?
No, I don't.
Alex, ready and... What, is anything wrong?
Elaine, I've told you time and again, no one is to be admitted to my study.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. You must have left the door open. Oh, Alex, you shouldn't
I'm terribly sorry, Elaine. I found the door open, and I thought Professor Jarman was in here. I just wanted to say hello.
All right. No harm done, as long as you can't read Latin. Now, get along, you two. I'm busy, but keep out of my study hereafter.
I took Elaine to the movies, but I haven't the faintest recollection of what the picture was about. Through my mind kept running that Latin sentence, Vitae secretum in elixir quartum perpetus habeo. When I said goodnight to Elaine at her door after the show, I hurried home to my room and I got out an old Latin dictionary. I looked up the word perpetus. And then I got a strange, cold feeling down my spine. For the word perpetus meant perpetual. The Latin sentence which Jarman had written in his diary meant, in elixir number 4, I have the secret of perpetual life. Professor Jarman had discovered the secret of immortality. All the next day, I conducted my chemistry classes purely by instinct. I couldn't take my thoughts from elixir number 4. Every voice in the classroom seemed to sing the same refrain.
Accomplished by adding to a dilute solution of H2SO4 a quantity
immortality. Never to know the fear of death. To live on serenely. To watch the world change through the centuries. Never to die. It grew on me like a festering tumor, this terrific dream of immortality, everlasting life. I had to have elixir number 4. In the afternoon, the first free period I had, I went down the hall to Jarman's office.
Come in.
May I come in for a moment, Professor?
Oh, it's you. Yes, come in, but I haven't much time.
Professor, I want to apologize for last night.
Let's forget about it. No harm done.
Well, whatever it was you had written in your diary, it must have been pretty important.
Oh, no, not at all. Only some chemistry notes. Nothing of any importance. Just something I've been experimenting with.
Well, I'd be very glad to assist you, Professor. Anything I could do,
That's very kind of you, young man, but I don't need any assistance, thank you. As a matter of fact, the experiment is completed.
You mean you're all finished?
All but the practical application.
Oh. Well, couldn't I help you on that?
It won't be necessary. Tonight, I'm taking the last step.
Tonight? I knew what that meant. Tonight, he was going to use elixir number 4. He was going to administer it to himself. I had to act tonight or never. Jarman's keys were on his desk. I distracted his attention, and I managed to pick them up without his noticing. Then I hurried across town to a locksmith and had him make duplicates of Jarman's house key, his study key, and his laboratory key. Then I returned to the college, and I managed to replace the keys on Jarman's desk while he was out. Now, I was ready for an adventure into immortality. At 8:30 that evening, I let myself into Jarman's house, opened the study door, and stepped quietly over to the laboratory. I knew Elaine was at a sorority meeting. The professor and I were the only ones in the house. Jarman was standing at the lab table with his back to me, talking away to himself. There was a small vial on the table and a hypodermic syringe alongside it.
Equal quantity administered yesterday will be sufficient. At my age, since my blood is too thin, I require the additional dose. But a younger man would need only one injection to cause the necessary type change in his blood. Who's that?
Good evening, Professor Jarman. I hope I'm not interrupting.
What are you doing here? How did you get in?
So elixir number 4 changes the bloodstream.
What do you want in here?
Quit stalling, Professor. I know what elixir number 4 is.
Oh.
So this is it. Elixir number 4.
Careful. Don't spill it.
How much of this stuff have you got?
That's all there is. 5 cc's.
You mean you haven't got any more?
It took me 5 years to distill 10 cc's. Before that, I experimented for 10 years. I failed 3 times.
And this is your 4th try, huh? Elixir number 4. And there isn't any more of it?
It will take me 5 years more to make up another bat. Please be careful. Don't drop it.
Don't worry, I won't. You said this is enough to make the average man immortal. Me, for instance?
It's not for you. You hear me? Not for you.
Oh, yes, it is, Professor. It's for me.
I won't let you... What are you doing with that mallet?
What do you think?
No.
I'm so sorry, Professor.
Wait. I'll let you have it. Don't kill me.
I've got to kill you. When I take this dose of elixir number 4, I'll be immortal. And I don't want anyone to know it.
Go away, you fool. You'll never enjoy your immortality. You'll wish you were dead 1,000 times. I'll come back to remind you.
I didn't hit him hard enough to kill him. That wasn't part of my plan. But when he lay unconscious on the floor, I searched among the chemicals until I found what I wanted. I mixed some chemicals in a test tube, and I watched the fumes forming. Then I held the test tube against Jarman's mouth, forcing the deadly gas into his lungs. When I was sure he was dead, I wiped the tube clean of my fingerprints and put it back in the rack. Then I picked up the vial of elixir number 4, the hypodermic syringe, and I hurried away, locking all the doors behind me. As soon as I got home, I filled the hypo with elixir number 4, and I gave myself the injection. Almost immediately, I felt a strange radiance pervading my body. A new strength was flowing in my blood. I was immortal. I couldn't die. I would go on living and living and living forever.
Hey, what's going on here? What's all this about living forever? If you ask me, it would be more of a curse than a blessing. Now, just suppose we all took a shot of this elixir number 4. Why, think of all the people who'd lose their jobs. Grave diggers and stone cutters and shroud makers and hearse drivers and... Oh, why, go on. You see what I mean. Why, everybody'd be out of a job. We'd all practically starve to death.
And everybody would starve if we didn't have these messages from February 12th, 1946, Inner Sanctum Mysteries here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. There are hundreds of thousands of members, and they love it. MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and this is obviously huge. The typical family saves around $6,000 a year switching to MediShare. Find out more. They're great to talk to. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
The Overstock sale continues at MyPillow.com. Deep discounts on Giza Dream Sheets, MyPillow original pillows, the My Slippers, half price. I love mine. And with every order you make by going to MyPillow.com/radio specials, you'll get a free copy of Mike Lindell's book, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. mypillow.com/radio specials, promo code USA. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, February 12, 1946, Inner Sanctum Mysteries.
And now let's get back to our story. We're all anxious to see what this fellow Alex does with his secret of perpetual life. Just imagine, a man with all that time on his hands. Time to kill. And kill. And kill.
Immortality. I had it in my blood. I could feel it pulsing in my veins. The vitality, the power. I had to establish an alibi. Not that I expected to need an alibi. Jarman's death would surely look like an accident or suicide when his body was found in the laboratory in the morning. But I wasn't taking any chances on a murder charge. I had so much more to lose now. Wouldn't it be ironic if they were to execute me for murder? Me, an immortal. Next morning, I stopped at Jarman's house and rang the bell. I knew Elaine must have gone right to bed when she returned from the sorority meeting last night, because she never disturbed her father when he was in the lab. But now, when she discovered that he hadn't been to bed all night, she'd want to investigate. And I wanted to be there when the body was found.
Oh, good morning, Alex.
Hello, sweet. What's wrong? You look worried.
Come on in. Alex, I am worried. Dad's still in the lab. He didn't go to bed last night.
Well, what of it? He must be working on something big.
No, I'm afraid something's happened. I knocked at the door just now and there was no answer.
The door was locked?
Well, yes, but I have a pass key. I wonder if I ought to use it.
Well, of course you should.
Well, please, Alex, you come with me.
Of course, darling. Together we opened the laboratory door. I was all set to act horrified when we discovered the body on the floor. But there was no need to act. I was horrified. For the lab was empty. There was nothing on the floor. The body of Professor Jarman was gone. I don't know for how many hours after that I walked the street, confused and frightened and uncomprehending. I tried to reason it out, how Jarman's body had walked out of that lab. There was only one solution. Jarman had already taken one dose of elixir number 4. It must have counteracted the poison that I'd forced into him. He must have gotten up and then walked away. But where? And why? I recalled what he'd said before I hit him with the mallet. Yes, I could hear his voice faintly strumming at my brain.
You'll never enjoy your immortality. You'll wish you were dead 1,000 times. I'll come back to remind you.
The next day, I went to Elaine's house, and I saw that she was taking her father's disappearance pretty hard.
Oh, Alex, I don't know what to make of it. Do you think that Dad... that he's...
Now, take it easy, baby. Maybe he's just suffering from amnesia. Maybe he just walked out of the house. He might turn up tomorrow.
No, I have a terrible feeling, Alex, that he's dead.
What makes you think so?
Oh, I don't know.
Now, please, Elaine. That won't do you any good.
Oh, but it's the uncertainty. If I only knew for sure. Alex. Do you believe in mediums?
Communicating with the dead?
Do you believe a medium can put you in touch with the dead?
Oh, is that what you're thinking of, darling? Going to a medium?
But don't you see, Alex, if Dad is dead, maybe...
I was worried, too. I had to know if Jarman was dead or alive. I had to know before I could start enjoying life. Yes, that might be a good idea, Elaine. Can't hurt to try. There's a medium in town.
Oh, I don't know what I want to do. Let me think about it.
Well, sure, darling. In the days that followed, I began to doubt whether I really was immortal. Was elixir number 4 really the elixir of life? Was I really going to live forever? If there was only some way to prove it. Then I remembered what Jarman had said, that the elixir caused a change of blood type. Well, that'd be easy enough to check. Elaine was taking a medical course, so I asked her to test my blood on the pretext that I thought I had anemia.
It won't hurt, Alex. Just the needle.
Ouch.
There, now I've got all the blood I need. Just sit here a minute while I make the test.
Well, does it take long?
Only a minute. Alex.
She was excited. There was something different about my blood then.
Alex. Alex, come here quick.
What?
Look. Oh, look, Alex. I can't be mistaken. Your blood. It's a new type.
Elaine couldn't get over the discovery that my blood was a new type. I'd asked her not to tell anyone about my new blood type, but I knew she wouldn't be able to keep the secret for long. And once it got out, people might begin to suspect what I already knew for sure, that I was immortal.
Immortality, the fact that you can never die. Wondrous, isn't it? Or is it? Richard Widmark in The Man Who Couldn't Die, an episode of Inner Sanctum Mysteries, February 12, 1946, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
America's founders knew power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why they built in checks and balances to prevent any one group from seizing all power.
And that's why our president is elected by a college of electors to protect the rights of little states like Delaware and Wyoming against giants like New York and California. After all, our country is a republic, the United States of America, not the United State. Our states are independent sovereign powers who created the federal government, not the other way around.
And that's why all power ultimately lies in we the people and the states, not a central dictatorship of cronies. Did you know that? Thank God for the U.S. Constitution.
Find out more how our amazing Constitution and Bill of Rights protect us, the citizens, against power-crazed politicians in Washington. Help us take back America. Go to ouramericanrights.com. Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Inner Sanctum Mysteries, Richard Widmark starring in The Man Who Couldn't Die, from February 12th, 1946.
Oh, I couldn't afford to have that known, because then everybody in the world would be envious of me. They'd hate me, too, because they'd know I could go on living long after they were dead. Oh, no. No, it had to be a secret forever. No one in the whole world must know. Except myself. And the only person who could spill the secret now was Elaine. So, there was only one thing to do. Elaine furnished the opportunity herself the next day.
Alex, I've been thinking about that medium. I've got to know if Dad is alive or dead.
All right, whatever you say, darling, if it'll make you feel any better. I'll go with you, of course. Just the two of us, huh? We made a date to go to the seance that evening, and I made my plans accordingly. I didn't intend that Elaine should leave the seance alive. We arrived at the medium's house promptly at 9 o'clock. The medium asked Elaine and me to sit close to each other. And then she put out the lights.
Alex.
It's all right, sweet. I'm right here. I'm right next to you.
I'm frightened.
Now, there's nothing to be frightened about, darling. I'm right here with you.
But it's so dark. I can't see anything. I don't hear anything. Where's the medium?
She's still here. She's right across the table. She's gone into her trance.
Do you think she'll contact Dad's spirit?
I don't know, darling. Wait and see. I timed myself carefully, waiting for the moment when the medium should be well into her trance. took out of my pocket the hypodermic syringe. I held the plunger in my left hand while I gripped Elaine's arm with my right, my thumb over the artery.
Alex, my arm, your finger's hurt.
It's all right, sweet. Slowly, I brought the hypodermic needle up close to the artery. One bite of the needle, a single plunge of the plunger, and death would come almost instantaneously. And no one in the world could say that it hadn't been heart failure. But suddenly, just as I had the plunger ready, I heard something strange. A sound. In the room where there should have been no sound.
You'll never enjoy your immortality. You'll wish you were dead 1,000 times. I'll come back to remind you.
The dead. The voice of the dead.
Jarman,
where are you? Jarman, stop. You're dead. You're dead, Jarman. You can't be talking. You're dead. I saw your dead body. I killed you myself. Suddenly, the lights flashed up. The room was full of police.
Arrest him, officer. He killed my father. You heard his confession.
That voice.
That was Dad's voice, Alex. A recording.
What? A recording?
That's why he always talked to himself in the lab. He had a wire recording machine. He talked while he carried on his experiments so that there'd be a permanent record. The wire recorder picked up everything that was said in the lab the night you killed him. But we could never have proved it was your voice in court if you hadn't confessed just now.
Yes, but the body.
I found Dad dead that night when I got back from the meeting. And I hid the body until I could find his murderer. And now, Alex, I found him.
All through the trial, Elaine sat and watched me. All the time the jury was out, she sat and watched me. And she watched me while they read the verdict of guilty. Her eyes never left me when I stood up to be sentenced and heard the judge say,
Alex Gregory, it is the judgment of this court that you be confined to the penitentiary for the rest of your natural life.
Me of all people. Me sentenced to imprisonment for life. Me in whose veins runs the precious elixir number 4. Imprisonment for the rest of my natural life, which means forever.
You know, I feel kind of sorry for Alex. He really got a tough break. Locked up in a cell for all eternity and no way out. Yes, looks like they'll have to build a new jail around him every 1,000 years or so. Of course, there's one way out for him. He could let his beard grow for a couple of centuries, and when it gets long enough, he could hang himself.
Oh, imagine such a thing, Mr. Host.
Yes, it would be sort of breathtaking, wouldn't it, Mary? Poor Alex. He probably had many good impulses in his lifetime. As the trouble is, he didn't follow them. And now, friends, before I say goodnight, here's a pleasant bit of philosophy. Biologists tell us that all life starts in a little cell. And for convicted murderers, it ends there, too. Oh, by the way, this month's Inner Sanctum Mystery novel is Death in the Limelight by A.E. Martin. And next week's Inner Sanctum story, brought to you by the makers of Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup, and directed by Hyman Brown. Next week's story is called You'll Never Escape. So, if you feel in a capturing mood, join us next Tuesday. Until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
February 12th, 1946, Inner Sanctum Mysteries on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Captain Midnight. This episode originally broadcast on February 12th, 1940.
The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight. Captain Midnight, brought to you 3 times each week at the same time by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. After Chuck Ramsey mysteriously disappeared, his movements have been traced by Captain Midnight. It developed that Chuck met another boy while eating breakfast in the lunchroom in the Ridgeville Airport passenger station. The boy was Frank Crane, a young student pilot. He asked if Chuck would allow him to go along for a ride in Chuck's plane, and Chuck generously agreed. We now find them flying at 2,000 feet, several miles north of the airport. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. Chuck is sitting relaxed at the controls, and young Crane is in the seat beside him. Listen as Frank says...
Hey, have you ever done any stunts in this ship?
No, I haven't. But this ship could take them.
Well, I tried to get my instructor to do some with me, but he never had enough time.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll gain a little altitude, and we'll do one.
Oh, gee, Chuck, that sure would be swell.
What would you like to do? A vertical turn, a spin, or a loop?
Well, gee, don't let's start in with a spin. I hear that's liable to make you awful dizzy.
No, it won't. Not if you keep your eyes inside the cockpit.
Well, anyway, let's try a loop. That'll be good enough.
Okay. Well, we've got enough altitude now. Oh, say, you'd better buckle your belt.
Oh, gosh, do you have to do that? Some of the boys were telling me that the centrifugal force would keep you in your seat.
It will. But that's only if you make an absolutely perfect loop. If you don't have quite enough speed, you're liable to fall out of your seat when you get upside down.
Oh, gosh, that wouldn't be so nice.
So I guess we'd better be sure and have our belts buckled, because I haven't made a loop for several weeks. All right, now, I'm going to dive down to gather speed.
Oh, boy, look at that needle go up.
Yeah. I was flying at 170, and now we're up to over 200. When she gets to 250, I'm going to pull her over.
Oh, say, it looks like you're diving straight down at that road.
We are. The man who taught me to fly told me to pick out an object like a road and dive down at it. And then when you get ready to pull up, if you keep on a line with the road, you're almost sure to keep on a straight line all the way around.
Hey, and then when you get over on your back, you pick up the road on the other side, huh?
That's the idea. Say, you catch on quick.
Hey, gee, look at that airspeed indicator. We're up over 250 now.
Yeah, and up we go. Oh, hold on now.
Oh, boy, gosh, we're absolutely upside down.
Yeah, but we're coming over, and plenty fast, too. I had more speed than necessary.
Hey, and look, there's that road. It looks like we're flying right down it.
Yeah, I think I managed to keep in a straight line on that road.
Oh, gee, look at that needle go up again. Why, we're almost up to 200 already.
Yeah, it doesn't take very much time to get up speed when you come out of a loop. Oh, after a while, that comes natural to you. You wait and see. Oh, where do you want me to go?
Oh, look right ahead, Chuck. You see that house down there? On the left of that road? That's our place. Would you mind diving down so I could wave?
No, of course not. Here we go.
Oh, gee, look. Mother's out in the backyard already, hanging up the clothes.
She must get started early.
Well, I'll say she does. About 6 o'clock. Look, she's standing there looking up at us.
Do you think she knows it's you?
Oh, sure she does. No one else would be diving down at her like this.
Well, we're about low enough.
Can I wave out the window?
You can try, but I don't think the wind pressure will let you do much waving.
Oh, it won't be necessary. She can see me.
I'll turn a little bit. There. How's that?
Hi, Mom! Hi! Hey, there, she sees me waving.
Well, up we go.
Oh, it was sure swell of you to fly me out here. Do you have to get back to the airport right away?
No, not for a couple of hours. And then I've got to land and go out and see a friend of mine in the hospital.
Oh, yeah, you said you had to do that.
But in the meantime, I don't have a thing to do. Say, if that's pretty country to the west, we might make a short cross country.
Oh, gosh, that would sure be swell if you can do it.
And no sooner said than done. Here we go. Say, you were sure right. This is swell country out here.
Oh, it sure is, isn't it? Dad and I used to come out here hunting a while.
It ought to be good for that, all right. It's plenty rough. Uh-oh. Look down there.
Well, what do you see?
It seems to me I saw an airplane.
You mean on the ground?
No, in the air. Now, wait just a second.
Hey, look. That looks like a pretty good landing field down there.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. It looks like a big hayfield.
Probably just a wild pasture. I don't see any farms around.
Oh, there. I was sure I saw a plane.
Oh, I still don't see it.
Well, it's pretty hard to see a ship between you and the ground. Now look straight ahead of us, on the other side of that field.
Oh, hey, now I see. Why, it looks like he was landing.
That's what I think he's doing.
Well, I don't know why he'd land in a place like this, unless he was in trouble.
We'll go on down and take a good look at him.
Maybe it's just somebody out on a hunting trip.
Well, that might be it, all right. But if it's somebody in trouble, well, we've got to help him.
Oh, I'll say. Hey, maybe we better sit down.
Oh, I will if he thinks he needs me.
Oh, he's landing all right. See, he's almost on the ground.
Yeah, and he's coming to a stop.
Hey, what kind of a plane is it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to make out. I can't tell for sure, but I think it's an open cockpit monoplane.
Hey, you're right. I'm sure you're right. At least I can see it's a two-seater.
It looks almost like the same type the Army uses for attack ships.
Well, we can't tell from here whether it's a monoplane or a biplane.
No, but we will in a few seconds. I'm going to side-slip down over him and get a better look. Oh, is your belt buckled?
Yeah, I haven't unbuckled it since we did that loop.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, boy, look at that. You got her in a vertical side slip.
Yeah, it's a swell way to lose altitude, especially when you want to look over the ground.
Oh, hey, that plane's taxied over to the side of the field. Hey, look there, it's coming to a stop.
So I see. And the pilot's sitting up there looking at us.
Hey, look, that's strange. There isn't anybody in the rear cockpit.
That's right, there isn't. Well, we're down low enough. I wonder if that fella is all right.
Well, he cut his switches. See, the propeller stopped turning.
Yeah, and he's jumped out of the plane, too. It looks like he's waving to us.
Well, he's motioning for us to come down and land, don't you see?
You're sure right. And maybe he does need help after all. Okay, I'll glide down to the end of the field, then we'll turn and come in.
Well, how do you know which way to land?
Well, you notice the direction the other ship landed in, but I'm not going entirely on that. Now, do you see the leaves of those trees over to the side?
Well, sure, I see them, but I can't tell anything from them.
Their underside is turned up, and I know the other fellow was right. He landed into the wind.
Gosh, there's sure a lot to learn about flying.
Now, you'll pick up those things in no time. All right, now, I'm turning and coming into the wind.
Gee, we're awful low. Aren't you afraid that left wingtip will hit into the ground?
No, I'll bring it up in plenty of time. Now, this is what you call a side slip landing. It's the best way to come down when you don't have much room.
Well, sure, but there's plenty of room in this field. Hey, look, Chuck. Hey, that is a monoplane over there.
Yeah, I can see now. Well, we'll turn and taxi over beside it.
Hey, that fella's standing next to his ship waiting for us.
Oh, I sure can't figure this out. Doesn't look as though he's in any trouble.
Well, maybe he's out of gas.
No, I don't think so, because his prop was turning over after he was on the ground. Well, here we are.
Hey, are you going to cut the switch?
No, I'm turning off the gas. It's a better way to cool the engine off.
Well, shall we get out?
Sure. Let's see what this fellow wants.
Hey, look. Look, that fella's coming over to meet us.
Yeah, so I see. Hello there.
How do you do?
Are you in trouble? Is there anything we can do for you?
No, I don't believe so. What are you fellas doing around here?
Why, we're just joyriding around. Oh, my name's Chuck Ramsey, and this is Frank Crane.
Hi.
How do you do? My name's Hilton. You kids are pretty young to be joyriding over rough country like this, aren't you?
Why, I don't know.
Well, why did you pick this part of the country for your joyride?
Well, I'm to blame for that. I told Chuck this was pretty country out this way.
I see. You say that you, Ramsey, are the pilot?
That's right.
Do you have a pilot's license?
Of course I have.
Let me see it.
Sure. Hey, wait a minute. I don't mind showing my license to someone in authority, like an inspector of the Bureau of Air Commerce, but not just to anybody who thinks...
Well, just take a look at this.
Oh, gosh, look at that badge.
All right, that satisfies me. In just a second, I'll show you my license. Here you are.
Thanks. Transport license, I see. Let me take a good look at you. Identification picture and description certainly fits. Do you own the plane?
Oh, no, I don't. You see,
Now, look at the plane's license.
Well, gee, Mr. Hilton, there isn't any license on the plane because... Well, you see, well, I can tell you...
No license on the plane? You know that's against regulations. Very well, Mr. Ramsey. You and your friend Crane are under arrest.
Well, what can this mean? The plane Chuck is flying was captured from Ivan Shark. Will Hilton believe the young pilot's explanation? What will happen next? Tune in Wednesday to Captain Midnight. Until Wednesday, this is Don Gordon, your Skelly Man, saying goodbye and happy landing!
Gotta love those cliffhangers. From February 12, 1940, Captain Midnight here on Classic Radio Theater. Please do me a favor and visit my webpage. It's at classicradio.stream. Now, if you visit the webpage, you can learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find out more about our shows. You can find all of our social media links there, and you can contact me directly, in addition to hearing our shows on demand. And you'll see links to Amazon products there. If one of them interests you, click on my link to go through it, please. It helps pay for this program and keep us on the air. Would you do that for me? It's classicradio.stream. And please take a moment to thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around. The advertisers pay the bills for this station to be on the air, and the courtesy of this radio station allows us to be here. It's kind of a nice symbiotic relationship, if you know what I mean. Our program, if you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. You can find them all on at anywhere podcasts are served. You can find them at iHeartRadio. You can find us at Spotify. You can find us at Spreaker. You can find us at TuneIn. Also, either Amazon Music or Audible, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, whole bunch of places. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much. Thank this station again, please, and support their advertisers, and tell all your friends that great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite radio station.